There are legends in football, and then there's Ray Lewis. Opponents didn't just prepare for him, they dreaded him. Before the ball was even snapped, players already felt it. The tension, the weight of knowing number 52 was somewhere on that field. Waiting, stalking. He didn't just hit people, he hunted them. Every step he took was calculated, violent, and personal. Teammates called it passion. Opponents called it something else. Terror. But what made Ray Lewis the scariest player in NFL history wasn't just the hits. It was what he did to your mind. The speeches, the stare, the darkness that followed him. And once you hear the full story, you'll understand why even the toughest players in the league feared just hearing his name. There are hard hitters in football, and then there's Ray Lewis. From the moment he stepped onto an NFL field, something was different. It wasn't just the tackles, though those were devastating. It was the way players looked at him. The fear wasn't just physical, it was psychological. Opponents would whisper his name in locker rooms like they were speaking about a myth. He wasn't just a linebacker, he was a storm in shoulder pads, 6 feet 1 inch, 240 pounds, and built like a freight train. But it wasn't his size that made him terrifying. It was the way he moved. Sudden, explosive, calculated. Ray didn't just hit people, he erased them. Watch enough clips and you'll see wide receivers short arm passes when they realize he's in the zone. Running backs would hesitate at the line. Even quarterbacks started throwing quicker just to avoid seeing that number 52 coming straight at them. But raw power was only part of it. What really made Ray Lewis terrifying was what came next, and it had nothing to do with his muscles. Ray Lewis didn't need to touch you to get inside your head. He could break you mentally before he ever laid a finger on you. His eyes, wide, locked in, intense, told you everything you needed to know. You were being hunted. Every pregame, he'd stomp through the tunnel, pounding his chest, screaming like a warrior going to war. And it wasn't for show. It was calculated chaos. Opponents saw it. Teammates felt it. Coaches had to prepare for it. That energy, it was contagious and terrifying. And then there were the speeches, not the cookie-cutter, "we got this" type. Ray's words felt biblical. Players say they left the locker room feeling like they were going to battle, not a game. He spoke about pain, sacrifice, domination, like he was speaking from some ancient warrior code. Mic'd up moments caught him mid-game, shouting things like, "This is the game we live for, I'm going to eat you alive." And when he said it, you believed him. Even NFL veterans admitted Ray Lewis had a psychological grip on the field. He made grown men second-guess themselves. He didn't just hit hard, he made you afraid of being hit at all. But the scariest part? He wasn't just bluffing, the violence came next. It's one thing to watch Ray Lewis on TV, it's another thing entirely to face him across the line of scrimmage. Rob Gronkowski, one of the toughest tight ends in NFL history, once admitted that playing against Ray Lewis was different. He said Ray didn't just hit you hard, he made you question your career choices. After one brutal tackle, Gronk said he felt the wind knocked out of his soul. Julian Edelman, known for his fearlessness over the middle, flat out said Ray Lewis was a different animal. He didn't even pretend to play it cool. In interviews, he talks about hearing Ray before seeing him, the pads popping, the yelling, the way the whole stadium seemed to shift when Ray lined up on defense. And it wasn't just offensive players who felt it. Defenders who played with him said his intensity was contagious. His energy infected the locker room. He could flip the entire momentum of a game with one hit. Not because it always caused a turnover, but because it sent a message. Ray Lewis didn't just want to win, he wanted to dominate you, break your will, and make you remember him every time you touched the ball. And players did remember. Some still do. But if his presence on the field was terrifying, the numbers behind it made it even worse. It's easy to say someone was scary. It's another thing to back it up with numbers that no one else in NFL history has touched. Ray Lewis finished his career with 2,061 total tackles, the most ever recorded by a single player. Let that sink in. That's over 2,000 moments where someone thought they had a lane. And then Ray ended it. He wasn't just a run stopper either. He racked up 41.5 sacks, 31 interceptions, and forced 17 fumbles. Those aren't just linebacker stats, they're the kind of all-around numbers you'd expect from multiple defensive positions combined. And then there's the longevity: 17 seasons, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 13 Pro Bowls, 7 first-team All-Pro selections, and of course a Super Bowl MVP. How many linebackers do you know who take over a Super Bowl on the biggest stage and completely shut down the opposing offense? His numbers weren't just good, they were absurd, legendary, and they weren't built on a few highlight seasons. This was every year, every week, every play. You could game plan all you wanted, Ray still found you, and when he did, your stats stopped cold. But what made all this even more haunting? He thrived in chaos. And some of his most unforgettable moments came when the stakes and the pressure were highest. Pressure reveals who you really are, and under pressure, Ray Lewis became something else entirely. One of his most haunting performances came during the 2000 NFL season. The Ravens' offense wasn't putting up huge numbers. The team relied almost entirely on its defense. And Ray, he turned it into one of the most dominant units the league had ever seen. That year, Baltimore allowed just 165 points the entire season, the lowest in a 16-game era. And at the center of it all, Lewis. He wasn't just making tackles, he was orchestrating destruction. Every drive ended with a thud, every offensive coordinator ran out of ideas. In the playoffs, it got even scarier. In the AFC Championship, Ray Lewis picked off a pass and returned it 50 yards for a touchdown. Like a linebacker turned assassin, he wasn't reacting anymore, he was anticipating. Then came Super Bowl 35. On the biggest stage, under the brightest lights, Ray didn't blink. He led a defense that completely suffocated the Giants' offense. New York didn't score a single offensive touchdown. Ray was named Super Bowl MVP, a rare honor for a defensive player, and a death sentence for anyone questioning his legacy. And yet, even in those moments of greatness, there was always a sense that Ray wasn't just playing to win. He was playing to dominate, to crush, to haunt you. But as terrifying as he was on the field, it's what happened off of it that truly blurred the line between legend and nightmare. No matter how dominant Ray Lewis was on the field, his legacy has always carried a shadow. In January of 2000, just weeks before the Ravens' legendary Super Bowl run, Ray Lewis was at the center of one of the most controversial off-field incidents in NFL history. After a night out in Atlanta, an altercation led to 2 men losing their lives. What followed was a media firestorm. Ray was arrested and headlines exploded. He wasn't charged with what some feared, but the accusations surfaced. The story became national news. Every sports show, every radio host, every fan, everyone had an opinion. Lewis eventually pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice. The murder charges were dropped, but the stigma never fully disappeared. Some saw it as a turning point. Others believed it should have ended his career. But Ray returned to the field with more fury than ever before. He told the world he was a changed man, and then backed it up with one of the most dominant defensive seasons ever recorded. For some, it was redemption. For others, a reminder that greatness and controversy often live side by side. Ray Lewis became a symbol of intensity, but also mystery. Not everyone feared him because of football. Some feared the story they didn't fully understand. And whether you believed in his redemption or still questioned the truth, there's no denying what came next changed everything about how we saw him. Because in the years that followed, Ray Lewis didn't just become a leader, he became a myth. After the storm, Ray Lewis didn't just fade away, he reinvented himself. He became more than a player, he became a leader and a symbol. His fiery speeches turned from intimidating opponents to inspiring teammates. Ray's post-game interviews were filled with passion, wisdom, and a raw honesty that resonated far beyond football. He wasn't just scary because of the hits anymore, he was scary because of his presence. His ability to rally a locker room, to turn pain into power, made him one of the most respected figures in NFL history. Young players looked up to him not just for his skill, but for his relentless drive. Ray's story became one of redemption and transformation. proof that even the scariest warriors can find a new path. And his impact, it's still felt today. From mentoring future stars to inspiring millions with his motivational speeches, Ray Lewis's legacy goes beyond tackles and interceptions. He proved that fear, when channeled right, can become the most powerful fuel for greatness. But no matter how inspiring he became, the shadow of his intensity never left. That edge, the fear he inspired, remains a defining part of who Ray Lewis is. And maybe that's why, decades later, players and fans still whisper his name with a little bit of awe and a lot of respect. Ray Lewis was more than just a linebacker. He was an enigma wrapped in fear and respect, the kind of player who rewrote the rules, not just with his tackles, but with his spirit. Was he the scariest player in NFL history? For those who faced him, the answer is clear. It wasn't just his physical power that haunted opponents, it was the way he controlled the game, the field, and even their minds. His story is messy, intense, and filled with contradictions. A fierce competitor who walked through darkness and came out a legend. A man who could break you and then inspire you. The scariness of Ray Lewis wasn't just what you saw on the field, it was the unknown beneath it all. The force of nature who left an indelible mark on football history. And that mark, it's impossible to erase. So next time you watch a game, listen for the name 52. Remember the player who made football more than a game. It made it a battlefield. Because some players don't just play the game, they scare the game itself. Ray Lewis wasn't just a player you faced on the field, he was a force you couldn't ignore. The scariest player in NFL history wasn't just defined by his tackles or stats, but by the fear he planted in the hearts of every opponent. From mind games to jaw-dropping performances, from controversy to redemption, his story is complex and unforgettable. Ray didn't just play football, he owned it on and off the field. So when you think about greatness, remember this. Sometimes it's not just about skill or strength. It's about the power to dominate, intimidate, and inspire, all at the same time. Ray Lewis didn't just leave a mark on football, he left a legacy that still sends chills down the spine of anyone who dares to face him. Because in the end, some players don't just change the game, they scare the game itself.